The weather over the next few days is about to get really active, as a storm system targets parts of the mid-Atlantic today, bringing damaging winds as the primary concern. As we go into tomorrow, a dangerous, damaging wind threat is expected to develop across parts of the Midwest, as the Storm Prediction Center is highlighting a slight risk for severe weather. And on Monday, another severe weather threat is expected to take place across parts of the Great Lakes region and Ohio Valley. The atmosphere is gearing up to produce a pretty dangerous and active severe weather over the next few days, so I'm going to be talking about what you need to know about the severe weather, so let's get right into the forecast. It's Saturday, August 8th, 2026, and this is our severe weather outlook for today. A slight risk is in place from parts of Maryland all the way up into parts of Connecticut today. This is going to be the main area I'm watching for severe weather today. I'm watching a potential for mainly a damaging wind threat to set up out here. We could see winds from 60 to 70 miles per hour with these storms. I also wouldn't rule out some hail getting erupted around colder skies through northern Virginia into parts of western New Jersey today. A low pressure system is going to be placed over parts of Maine today. A warm front is going to set up south of that, and we're expecting the storms to develop to produce damaging winds from 60 to 70 miles per hour. Make sure you're strapping on unsecured objects so they don't fly away today if you're in these areas. A few isolated severe storms are also going to be a possibility during the overnight hours into the parts of the early morning hours of tomorrow. So it's going to be a very late overnight system that's going to develop across the Midwest today, where we do have a marginal risk outlined by the Storm Prediction Center. Damaging winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles per hour are possible, as well as a potential for hail. A few damaging storms will be a possibility down here in parts of Arizona today, around the Tucson and Phoenix, Arizona area, as the Storm Prediction Center is highlighting a 5% wind risk. Storms are going to fire south of a low pressure system placed over Maine today, near a warm front farther down south. Storms will develop likely into the afternoon into parts of the evening hours, mainly targeting the Baltimore, Maryland area, over towards Philadelphia. I'm watching the time frame from 5 to 6 p.m. for the impact in Baltimore, Maryland today. I would say the same thing for around Washington, D.C. So you guys want to be making sure to have multiple ways to receive weather alerts today, as these storms are expected to be pretty severe. We go ahead and look at our CAPE values. This is convective available potential energy. This is basically storm fuel. We're getting up to around 2,000 joules per kilogram out in these areas today, which is plenty for those storms to form and grow into strong, damaging storms. Storms out here in parts of the Midwest are expected to form in the overnight hours while you are sleeping out here across parts of the Midwest and parts of the northern plains. These storms are going to start out as mainly some pretty large hailers, potentially. They could produce some decent hail, but there will also be a damaging wind threat to develop. So if you're out there in Des Moines or out there in parts of northeastern South Dakota tonight while you're sleeping, that's going to be the main target areas. There could be severe weather around those areas though too. You're going to be making sure to have multiple ways to receive weather alerts while you're sleeping tonight, whether that's a weather radio, whether that's notifications on your phone. You need to have a way to get alerts tonight while you're sleeping, so that you will be awake when the warning drops. The atmosphere is very favorable out here in these areas today, but the problem is that the storms are not going to form into the overnight hours, which we don't have much instability that's going to build up out there. Otherwise, the risk would probably be bigger today out here, but they're going to form during the overnight hours, which is going to make it so the storms may be a little bit weaker than what it would be during the day, because we don't have all of that heat on the ground. It's just going to be a little bit cooler without the sun. That same storm system will push into parts of the Midwest, Great Lakes region, and Ohio Valley tomorrow, producing a significant damaging wind threat. The Storm Prediction Center has highlighted 4 different areas to watch for severe weather tomorrow. The main concern is going to be from northern Indiana all the way into parts of eastern Iowa tomorrow, as there is a slight risk out in these areas. A tornado threat could even develop tomorrow, as the Storm Prediction Center did issue a 2% tornado risk from northern Indiana into parts of eastern Iowa. I do think this could shift maybe a little bit farther north, so we're going to have to watch this closely. I do think a few isolated brief tornadoes are going to be a possibility tomorrow with these storms that form. Damaging winds would be the primary threat tomorrow with these storms in these areas, as a 15% wind risk is in effect. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive weather alerts. The main hail threat, though, tomorrow will likely stick around the Rapid City, South Dakota area. A few damaging storms will be a possibility near Knoxville, Tennessee, down to Charlotte, North Carolina tomorrow, as we're going to get a few isolated storms to develop to produce some damaging wind potentials. All the way up here in parts of eastern Maine tomorrow, we could also see a few damaging storms, mainly producing a damaging wind potential. And that's not it. Near the Tucson, Arizona area tomorrow, we could also see a few severe storms, mainly producing a damaging wind potential. We're going to have rain showers move through before the main storms tomorrow, which could produce a few gusty winds throughout the Great Lakes region. And then as we get into the parts of the evening into the overnight hours, we're expecting the main storms to develop out here through the Great Lakes region, producing some strong winds as the main concern. These storms are expected to develop potentially around 10 p.m. Eastern around the Chicago area. Then they're expected to move farther down south while starting to die out as we lose daytime heating. Cape values up to around 4,000 joules per kilogram is a potential in these areas, which is a lot of storm fuel, which is enough for these storms to form. We also have plenty of atmospheric spin that's going to be placed over these areas, which is going to be plenty for these storms to potentially produce tornadoes tomorrow. The main tornado threat is likely going to set up across northern Illinois into parts of northern Indiana. If we go ahead and take a look at our updraft helicity tracks here, this kind of shows where these storms could form and potentially rotate, produce damaging winds or hail. You can see that it is marking this area as the main concern for the track of these storms. This is going to shift around a little bit, but this is going to be the area I'm watching the closest for the severe weather potential tomorrow. When those storms form initially is going to be where that main tornado threat will be, but when they congeal into more of a cluster of storms, then they'll produce maybe some brief spin-up tornadoes, and likely nothing too significant in terms of tornadoes, but some significant damaging winds are possible. It will move down towards Fort Wayne around 4 a.m. in the morning, and will continue after that. So make sure you have a way to get alerts tomorrow if you're in Fort Wayne, Indiana, while you're sleeping. And then they'll move farther down south as they weaken out into parts of central Ohio and central Indiana. As we head into Monday, another severe weather threat is likely across the Great Lakes region into parts of the northern plains. Monday is expected to be a day that could be some pretty significant day that we could be seeing some very strong winds, mainly throughout parts of the western Pennsylvania, northern Illinois area. That's going to be the main area, as there's a slight risk outlined by the Storm Prediction Center. We do not have any tornado risks outlined yet because we're not going to get too detailed with that. The Storm Prediction Center only issues that for the 1 and 2 day outlooks. It's a 3-day outlook. And the main target areas I'm watching right now is going to be the Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, and Chicago area. Then across parts of southern Michigan and parts of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I'm definitely going to have to, we're definitely going to have to keep a close eye on Monday. The storms on Monday are expected to fire from parts of the afternoon into the evening hours, and then they'll continue to produce a main damaging wind threat, and then they'll die down as we get into the overnight hours. They'll push down towards Canton and Cleveland as new storms develop. Cape values up to around 4,000 joules per kilogram are expected across these areas, which is really going to contribute to a potential for significant storms. I'm also watching for maybe even a tornado threat to set up with these storms on Monday. Some brief tornadoes are possible in these areas. And this is not just going to be the severe weather threat. I'm actually watching a potential for a lot of rainfall that could lead to flooding in these areas throughout the next few days. While the Weather Prediction Center has highlighted a slight risk of excessive rainfall out here in parts of the Midwest, as we could be seeing quite a lot of rain out here. This is expected to get up to potentially closer to around 1 to 4 inches of rain throughout the next few days inside of that slight risk of excessive rainfall tomorrow. So definitely turn around, don't drown when encountering flooded roadways. This threat will shift farther into the Ohio Valley on Monday, as we could see a lot of rain also setting up across northern Illinois into western Pennsylvania. And it will continue as we get into Monday from West Virginia up into northern Illinois. So if you're in those low-lying areas and you're getting those slow storms, definitely make sure you're having a way to get to higher ground if you end up in a flash flood warning. And it's not just the bad weather I want to talk about. I also do want to mention a perfect day setting up on Monday from western Oregon into western Washington. Definitely get outdoors on Monday out there as the conditions are setting up for a very, very nice day. We do have a high pressure system over parts of North Carolina. This is actually going to bring warm temperatures up into parts of the southern United States. This is actually going to get up to potentially the 90s into parts of the hundreds, especially if you're out there in Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Memphis, or Atlanta, even down to Jacksonville and Houston. So please be prepared for these warm temperatures. Make sure you're staying hydrated. Don't be leaving anybody in the car, as we're going to get warm temperatures caused by a high pressure system in these areas. So it's not going to be very pleasant temperatures out here. So this is going to be very warm temperatures out here, as we do have a moderate risk of extreme heat out here along parts of the Gulf. So yeah, we're going to be seeing very extreme heat that's going to set up next week out here. So definitely stay hydrated. We have a rapid onset drought risk out here across parts of the southern plains and the Ozarks. You can see some rapid onset drought out here, so be prepared for that. And we got warm temperatures and some dry air coming in. And that is pretty much all I got for you in today's forecast. Make sure to click that subscribe button. Make sure to like this video. If you have any suggestions, drop it down below in the comment section below. And I will see you guys in the next one. And yeah.